Welcome to Responsive Design. This section is only useful for you if you are using CC 2019 onward. If you're using 2018 backward, you cannot find this option. It's all about the responsive design newly introduced. And I will show you how to create intros and outros in motion graphics and protected regions in videos and motion graphics. Please guys, when you complete this section, I'm sure you will be impressed. It's a very nice subject now. Go back to Essential Graphics and especially the section for CC 2019. And you will see how you are going to use responsive design within Essential Graphics and how it can help you when you're exporting your Essential Graphics to Premiere Pro. Let's dive in and start learning about the newly introduced responsive design. In the previous two sections, you've learned that using the stretch will retime the layer. It will slow it down or speed it up. But then it affects the whole layer. This layer being a video or a pre-composition of motion graphics, whatever, it will affect the whole layer. But from time to time, you don't want to do that. You want to speed up and stretch a layer, but you want to keep a certain region of the layer intact. It means it remains at the same speed. Your options were, you come for example over here and you decide from 20 frames to 2 seconds, I want it always to remain at the same speed. So the solution will be now is of course to split the layer. That's 1. And split it again at 2. Then retime this portion. Here you are. And then retime this portion and adjust them. And most of the time it's very hard work. But now in CC 2019, you have a ready-made solution. You can take a region or a certain area from a layer, be it a video layer or a pre-composition, and protect it against retiming. Not time remap, just retiming it through the stretch. Let me give you an example. Let's say from 20 frames to 2 seconds here, I want this area to be protected. So if I retime this layer, this region from 20 frames to 2 seconds will not be retimed, meaning it will not speed up or slow down. How do you do that? The first way is to use the work area. If you come to composition now, you have a new option. It's responsive design time. You can create intro, outro. Now we are working on create protected region from work area. Well, it makes sense that I will limit the work area for where I want the region not to be retimed, and then come to this option. So I come over here, I put the beginning of the work area, go to 2 seconds, I'll put the end of the work area. That's B and N. I hope you remember. Then, if you right click on the work area, you have a fourth option now. Create protected region from work area. Here you are. So actually what it did, it created markers. Okay, you see this is a marker and it has the protected region checked. This is the new option, responsive design time. This is a protected region. So this area now is protected. I will go back to the same work area. Now how do you use this? First of all, you pre-compose, but not from here. If you pre-compose from here, the markers will stay in this composition and the protected area will be in this composition. The way to do it is to create a new composition. And I will call this one main. Okay, it's 1280 by 720 and I'll make it 10 seconds. The video here is 5 seconds. Go back to main and then I will take photographer, the pre-comp, and drop it inside main. Now notice you can see the protected area. It's blue. If you play, nothing has happened yet. Okay, we didn't stretch the layer. It has normal speed. Let's slow down the layer at 200%. Here you are. Now the layer is a pre-comp. Okay, guys? Now you notice the region on the left of the protected area, the blue one, has been stretched and of course it's slower. And the area after the blue region also has stretched. But the region itself, the blue one, did not stretch, did not move, it stayed on the same time. If you play your video now, you will notice it's very slow, then goes normal speed and slows down. Let's change the speed to 50%. It will be more visible. And I'll click OK. Now notice the area before has become quite speedy and the area after has become quite speedy. Let's select the out point and put the work area here, and then if you play, notice slow, normal, or in fact speedy, slow, normal. So this is one method to create responsive design using the work area. Let's see what happens if you go to the composition photographer here and change the protected area. I'll not stretch it up and down. I will just remove it. I will right click on the marker and say delete this marker. And here you are, the protected area is gone. If you come back to main now, the protected area did not go away. It's still there. If you play your video, you notice here it is. And the way to affect the changes is to drop again your pre-comp. And here you are now, if you notice, it's back to normal. They are all speedy. Okay guys, and this was the previous one. Well, actually it has its own benefit, because you will create your protected area, drop it in the main composition, then come back to the pre-comp and work the way you would like, maybe create a new protected area or something like this, and create even more. So my point here was to show you that if you do any amendment within the pre-comp where you had the protected area, then these amendments are not reflected in the main composition, and you have to drop your composition again so the changes are affected. I'll show you now how to create protected region with markers. From the main, let's delete these two pre-comps, and then let's go back to photographer, and of course we don't have any region. Let's come to 20 frames. Now, to use markers, you cannot put the markers on the layer. You have to deselect everything and put the markers on the work area. To put a marker, there are a couple of ways, and you can use the star on the numeric pad, but if you don't have a numeric pad, you can just come over here and double click, and a marker is created where your timeline is. Now, to create a region with the marker, you double click on the marker, or if you like, you can right click on the marker, go to settings, and here you have the time of the marker when it starts, the duration, you can put some comments, you can label it if you like, give it some colors, and you can decide if it's a protective design or just a normal marker. I'll put it as protective design, and now just give it, for example, 20 frames, because I don't know how many frames there are, so I'll give it 20 frames. So I have the marker now split in two, beginning and end. I will take the end. Notice how the mouse pointer has changed. Click on it and take it to 2 seconds. So now you created a protected region with the marker. Let's go back to main, and let's drop photographer the composition. Let's now stretch it back to 50%. I think this is the best visibility. Okay, and here you are. It works very fine. If you come back to photographer and you want to remove the protected region, we already talked about this. You just right click and say delete this marker, and that's it. Okay, you remove the protected region. If you come back now to main, nothing has changed. You need to delete this pre-composition and then drop back the pre-comp again, so all the changes take effect. So this is how to create a protected region with the markers. Responsive design within motion graphics. I created here a very simple animation, and the technique I'm going to show you will work however complicated is your animation. It really doesn't matter. This animation is a normal one. You have the in animation, so you bring the text or whatever graphic in, it stays on the screen for a certain time, that's the stable moment, and then it comes out, or the reverse animation. If you play it, it's a very easy one, and it really doesn't matter if you have a very complicated animation. As long as you have in, out, and stable duration, it will work. So let's see how we can use these kind of animations within the responsive design. Responsive design mainly target this kind of animation where you have in, stable, and out animation. Let's see how we can use them. First of all, let's start with the concept that we want always to have 3 seconds stable duration on the screen. So you have the in animation, you don't mind if it's speedy or slow, and the out, you don't mind its speed. But whatever happens, you want the 3 seconds to remain on the screen. And let's see how we are going to use the responsive design. Like we have done with video, you can use the work area to define your protected region, or you can use the markers. For now, I'm going to use the marker. I don't usually use them very much, so it's nice to use them. So I will start by putting a marker just over here. I will come to the marker and just double click. This option, we all have it, even if you don't have the star on the numeric keyboard. Now I will come to the marker like we have done before, double click on it, and give it some time. Let's say 20 frames, it doesn't matter. I'm going to label it, let's make it yellow, it's nice. And then, of course, is a protected region. And then we click OK. So now I have the in of the marker and the out. Now notice what happens with markers here. If you click on the in and you drag left or right, you will move the marker with the time. Okay? Fine. If you click and drag on the out, it will move the timing of the marker so you can extend it. And that's the best way to use it. So I'll click over here and go to 4 seconds. Now I don't like to click and drag. I prefer to go to the next keyframe, press K, and then I will take the marker and just snap it using the shift. So I have 100% here. So now I created the protective region, and you notice it's now yellow because I used a yellow marker. Let's go to a composition I created, is the main graphics, just over here. It has only the video. I'm gonna take the responsive design that just we worked on and drop it inside Photographer. Here you are. Now notice you have a yellow area because of the color of the marker. And if you play it, we have the in animation and we have the out animation. Cool. Since our decision here is to make sure that the stable position, the one that's not moving on the screen, is always 3 seconds, if you stretch it in, for example, okay, something like this, whatever, and then click and put it in the middle of the comp, now you have a very nice and very simple way. It stays 3 seconds and it comes out. So actually now it is the in and out animations that have been affected by the speed, and the time in between stays constant. In responsive design, you can get some help in creating an intro and outro protected regions. Let's see how this can happen. I have created the same animation in a composition called Responsive Design 2. Just have an in, or you can call it an intro, a stable time, and an outro. This time I want the transitions, that is the intro and the outro, to remain constant. Of course, I will have to create 2 protected regions, one for the intro, one for the outro. Well, instead of doing it manually, I can get some help from After Effects CC 2019. If you come to composition now, you can see in responsive design that you have create intro, that's what I call the in animation, and create an outro. Let's go ahead and create an intro. So actually it created for you the marker, and if you double click on the marker, it's already set at 19 frames. I don't know why 19, and it's a protected region. Let's make it 15. 19 is a bit odd, but 15 will do well. Cool. Now let's go back to the composition and responsive design and take a create outro. Here you are. So I created an outro at the end of your composition now. If you double click to check the timing, it is 20 frames. Actually, the way it's working, it's 19 frames plus the last frame of the comp that is never seen. So it is 20 frames. Let's make it again 15 frames. Okay, we delete this, we write 15, and we click OK. So it has moved it over here. I'll click on the in and just move it to the end, just over here to 5 seconds. We have 2 protected areas. It just makes sense to move the keyframes inside. Okay, that's 1 and that's 2. So now we have our animation, very nice, the intro and the outro. And of course, we are protecting the intro and outro. Now, this is very important, mainly when you are working in Essential Graphics and trying to export some graphics for Premiere Pro. And you really don't want to mess the intro and the outro, because this is the work you have done in After Effects. But the time in between can be messed up the way the other user would like to mess it up. Let's see the effect now. Let's come back to main graphics. Let's take Responsive Design 2 and drop it in. And let's put off the Responsive Design, the first one. Now we have the blue area here, because I used a blue marker, and you can stretch it the way you would like. Okay, usually that's what happens. Put it in the middle, anywhere you want, or in the beginning, and here you are. Now it is the time in between that has been affected. Now notice the benefit here. You can create title animations and lower third animation, and of course your whole work in After Effects is the intro and the outro, or the in animation and the out animation. Now they are never messed up. It's only the stable time in between that is changing, and is very efficient when you're doing essential graphics or creating certain templates. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this was very useful for you.